Hello and welcome along. So I'm Tim Seymour and Rachel Cox is here joining me today, and we're going to have a conversation to find out more about Rachel. Rachel's a regular attendee of our Croissants and Coffee sessions on Friday mornings where we help small businesses. She's also a Croissants and Coffee Plus member. And this is one of the series of interviews that I'm going to be hosting with some of our members and lots of other businesses around the UK. So Rachel, it's great to have you with us. Thanks for coming along. I think we'd just like to get straight into things. So tell me, why do you do what you do?
I love people and I love horses. And one of the things that I get out of life really is being able to actually help people to be better, to be more what they want to be, to have a life that they can enjoy. And so many years ago, I went and helped a lady who was really scared of her horse. She'd had an accident. She was at the point of the husband had said, sell the horse or get on the horse. And so I lived up the road from her, and she knew I had horses. So she gave me a call and said, I don't know what to do. So I popped along. We had a chat over a coffee in the kitchen. We went out, we had a look at the horse. And we spoke about how she was riding, what her fears were, what was motivating her to be scared of the horse, and what the horse was doing. And so we talked about how the horse's reactions were often a result of what she was doing. So over a period of a couple of months, I went over and I worked with her. And by the end of it, she was really happy. The horse was a lot better. It was going out, it had been napping and everything. So she had been like riding it a bit around school. And then she was going out and hacking and enjoying life. And so yes, so that was where it all started. And her husband was happy because the horse was actually now something that was valuable to her. She was no longer scared of it. It was no longer an added worry. It was something that she could go out and enjoy. So she was less stressed. She was less worried about things. She was less anxious. So they got on as well. So had a wee bit of marriage counselling in there as well. So it that was how it all started. I moved house after that, and so I kind of went away from that after a few. You know what it's like, someone says, oh, Rachel does this and Rachel does that, so people came along and I helped quite a few people at that point, and then I moved. And then I did some ordinary jobs. During that time, I was really fortunate. I did ordinary jobs for unordinary people who absolutely pushed me into everything that I needed to learn. So I did some courses in conflict management, in negotiation, in dealing with difficult people. It was actually called Dealing with Difficult People. It was a few years ago now. And then I also built up the psychotherapy side. My degree was in divinity, so we did pastoral counselling in divinity, and CBT was kind of coming on at that time as well. So I did a couple of certificates and diplomas in CBT, and some more work in person-centered counselling. And then I moved out to France, where I lived for 5 years. That was kind of during the Brexit thing. It was just after the Brexit vote. And a lot of the counselling I did there was very specific. People were incredibly anxious about their future, which gave me a great grounding in general counselling. so that then I came back to Ireland, and I was like, well, no one's fussed about Brexit here. Everything's hunky-dory. And so what do I do now? I had a few clients that came with me from France online. And so I thought, well, would there be any market back into the helping people with horses? Ireland is, I think, the third biggest horse owning country in Europe. So I started again.
Fantastic. That's amazing. Thanks for sharing all of that, Rachel. Going back to the initial lady that you helped, what was it she needed from you? Where was it that she was really struggling that you helped her with?
She was a young mom. So a lot of people, when they have their first baby, they go into maternal instinct of wanting to look after the baby, and then they worry about, what if I fall off, what if I get injured, who's going to be here to look after the baby, who's going to be. So that was one thing that comes through quite a lot. It is a big reason for people losing their confidence. So that was one area. The other area was that she had recently moved from a livery yard to keeping her horse at home. And it was in a very rural area. And unfortunately, at the time, there were a few people that would say things like, oh, if you fall off out on the hack, then nobody's going to ever find you, and you're going to die in a ditch, and you're going to so all of these things.
Fear being installed, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, even I was like, oh my gosh, what if I fall off and die in the ditch? And so even I was like, yeah, maybe I should tell someone where I'm going to go when I go out hacking, which never entered my head for like years and years and years. So that was one other thing, was that she had moved and she was on her own. So the what ifs were coming in, compounded with the child.
Yeah.
Situation. So those were the two main things. And because she was getting wound up, then she was affecting the horse. So that's another area that I really, really enjoy working. I always say that, like, I love to come and see people with their horse. Because I number one, it saves about 10 sessions, because the horse will tell me everything that you're not going to tell me. The horse will tell me everything you don't know. So as she was getting more stressed, then she was affecting the horse, which was getting more stressed, which was stressing her out, which was stressing the horse out. So you had this complete cycle of escalating stress, which was then causing problems when they went out.
Yeah, I understand that. And I'm picking up on the fact that there's a big connection between a horse and its owner. Would I be right in mentioning that? And this is where a lot of your skills come into play. Would I be right asking that question?
Yeah. In fact, there was a study, or there's a study actually being done in America, to actually see whether or not horses, or how tight the connection between horses and humans are. So they're actually taking humans away for 3 weeks and then putting them back into the barn with their horse, and seeing whether the horse reacts. And so far the results are coming out that the horse is pleased to see them back. It's coming over the field, it's coming up to them, it's coming over, it's horses kind of hug you by putting their head over your shoulder, and so that a lot of that's going on. So yeah, it's incredibly tight, that relationship.
Sure. Oh, that's amazing. And so going back to how you help people, how do you deliver what you offer to people?
I use a pretty unique program. everyone's very different. So I've been trained in a number of psychological therapies. So as well as the CBT, then there are various other modalities. So I can find myself in, like, over a period of time using 3 or 4 different ones to get to the root of the problem. One thing that a lot of people say to me is, geez, you jumped straight in, mate. But in the first session I have with someone, I will start to have disruptive thinking going on, so that people can see progress from the very start. So, you know, we can do breathing techniques, which again is fantastic thing with the horse, because the horse is so much in the present, and their breathing is really deep. So you can match proper full deep breathing with your horse. So it's like, and the other thing that I really like to say from the very start is to be more horse. Your horse is really in the present. So when you go into your horse's world, you have to really go into the horse's world. You can't come into the horse's world with, like, everything that's been going on all day and your mind is going like, you've got to kind of like slow right down. You've got to slow your thinking down. You've got to make your communication at the horse's level. So it's kind of like all of these things together help deliver the results. And as I said, you know, I don't really care which modality I use, whatever works for the person and whatever gets the success.
Fantastic. Yeah. So, I mean, that sounds like, I guess everybody's different. But it sounds like you've got a massive expertise in the connection between horses and humans, which is a massive thing to be able to have and to be able to provide for people. And so, who is it that you help? What type of people do you help?
Anyone. But when I started this business, my aim was really very much to help the everyday horse owner. You know, there's a lot of horse sports psychologists. There's a lot of psychological coaches. There's a lot of hypnotists and everything else, and they very much aim for the people that want to compete. And I love helping people compete. I love to see people go out and really enjoy themselves. But equally, there's a whole load of people out there, like the client I talked about, you know, people who have one horse that they absolutely love. Something's happened that takes that sort of worry situation and takes the fun away, takes the enjoyment away. You know, it's like, you know, going out and taking your horse up and going out for a lovely ride on a sunny day is like total bliss. And when someone's had that break in their confidence, then they're no longer able to just go out and do that. So it really is for anybody, and everyone that owns a horse that's had that break in their confidence, that wants to get back on and be able to thoroughly enjoy their horse. And the other thing I also do is, you know, a lot of people, I've had it myself, you know, I've got my own horses and I've got a young stallion, and I didn't back him until he was 6. He took a while to fully mature, and people were like, oh, why aren't you doing this with him, and why aren't you doing that, and are you going to send him away to do this, and are you going to, but it's like, ooh, he's my horse, I'll do with him what I want to do. So it's also the people that, you know, want to have a horse and want to do what they want to do with it, but haven't got that confidence to say to someone, no, it's none of your business, really. So even people like that, you know, I can help.
Yeah, so that sounds like people that have perhaps on the end of a bit of peer pressure,
Yeah.
when they can make their own decision really about what they should be doing with their own horse. And just to delve a little bit deeper into the breaking confidence you've mentioned, how does that come about? Does that come about from people having accidents, or does it come about from traumas outside of riding the horse? Is there different areas that confidence comes into play?
Oh gosh, yeah. You know, anything that can knock a person's confidence in any area of life can knock it with their horse. As I've already mentioned, childbirth is a big one. Falling off is another huge one. But another area that maybe people don't always think about is if you've been in a toxic relationship, either a partner or at work or whatever, and you've had people like niggling at you and pulling away your self-confidence and feeding that like inner critic, then that can have a terrible effect on your riding confidence as well. So just as much as building up your confidence with your horse can help you outside in your other relationships, so can those relationships attack your confidence with your horse. So it's kind of like whatever's going to feed that inner critic.
And so from that, obviously the thing that stands out is that working with you and working with horses is not only giving you confidence to get back on your horse, but it's actually giving you confidence in your whole life, in other areas of your life that perhaps you need building up. Would that sound correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, most people take the view that, you know, someone that's pushing a 750 kilograms of animal with his own mind around should have confidence in the rest of their life, but they don't. Not always, you know, but you can, yeah, absolutely. Learning to get your confidence back with your horse can then go on, and then of course that builds up as well, because you've got your hobby back that gives you stress relief, that gives you happiness, that gives you well-being, and relaxation as well, and time back into that space with your horse. That, as I said earlier about you can't expect your horse to come into the human world, you have to go into the horse's world when you ride. So, and also, you know, on complete other things like communication skills, you have to think everything that I ask my horse to do has to be clear, simple, and understandable. And even in something completely different, like I had a client a little while ago, and he was saying, oh, but people do this, and you're like, well, yeah, okay, so you're riding down the road and you jump a log, except you don't jump a log, your horse refuses, you go flying over the log. Do you get up and beat the horse? Or do you forgive the horse? So even, you know, even human to human relationships completely come out of this as well, because you're like, treat others like you would treat your horse.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like a huge amount of added stuff. It's not just getting the confidence back to ride again or not to ride, but it's like getting your confidence back in the world and dealing with other people as well.
Oh, amazing. Thank you, Rachel. And so for anyone who's listening to this, who's perhaps looking for help, but they're not sure what to do, what would you say to them? What's the next step they can take?
Oh, give me a call. You know, me or the people that I work with, it's on the relationship. So, you know, the best thing to do is call me and see whether you can work with me or whether I can work with you, where we're going to go, what's going to happen. So yeah, I mean, email me, call me, drop me a DM on Instagram or Facebook, and just, you know, get that love back.
Fantastic. Thank you, Rachel. I've really enjoyed chatting with you. And I think it would be amazing for people to work with you. I think it's life-changing what you offer people. So well done. And really just keep up the good work, because you're helping so many people. It's invaluable what you do. And you're a wonderful person. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Tim.